What's going on, everybody? John Eric Poli here with My MMA News, and today's guest will be making her UFC debut against Jessica Penne at UFC Long Island on July 16th. Pleased today to be joined by Emily Ducote. Emily, thanks for doing this. Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem at all. So, like I said there in the intro, right? UFC debut. I know you've been working so hard for a long time for this opportunity. Just how excited are you to finally be able to make your UFC debut like this?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I'm really excited and I'm just ready to to do it.
So, were you surprised at all that it kind of took this long? Because when we talked the last time, it was right before you were fighting for the Invicta title, and you were hoping to win it right there and kind of get that call. And the way how you won that fight too, with that impressive knockout that kind of went viral and was all over the internet, it kind of seemed like it would make sense that you would get that call 1, 2, 3, and instead you had to go back and make a title defense in Invicta. So, were you surprised at all that it took as long as it did?
Yeah, I did think that after my title fight that I would have got the call, but it didn't happen. And so I decided to stay busy. You see some fighters wait after they, get a win or until they get to a certain record and kind of wait until they call. And I just don't want to do that. I need to stay busy, stay active. So I was able to defend my belt, which is something that I wanted to do anyways. It's like another check off my goal list. And now, I was able to sign with UFC and everything worked out and I'm just really excited about it. It did take a while, but my whole career has been difficult and I've learned a lot of lessons because of those difficult, moments in my career. So I'm ready for it and I'm excited for it.
So you mentioned there, right? It's kind of been a difficult road to this point. We'll get into some of that stuff a little bit later on here because I do want to ask you about kind of the transition when you were in 125 for a while, coming back down to 115. But one of the things that I wanted to ask, since you said it was a difficult road and you wanted to stay active, so that's why you kind of made the decision that you did. Do you have a chip on your shoulder at all for any of this, or is it kind of all water under the bridge that kind of things have played out how it has, and you're good to go?
Yeah. So in some individual moments in my career, I definitely was not super thrilled about, some of the decisions or some of the way the fights have gone or whatever. But overall, looking back, I'm definitely happy about it because I've been tested. I've learned a lot of lessons. And I don't think that there's any way I would be exactly where I am without all those difficult fights or moments in my career. So looking back, I'm definitely thankful because I've been tested. I am confident in myself. I trust myself. I've developed those things that a lot of people haven't because they've kind of, not everybody, but some people have, had a straightforward path, got 4 or 5 wins over some people and just went straight in. And then you see they have hard fights and have a difficult time. So I've been tested. I've had hard fights and I know I'm ready for this. And I feel like at the moment I am right now, this is the best I've ever felt. So no, I wouldn't change anything if I could, record aside, my record is big. I've been fighting for a while and it's not pretty, but if you look into the record, you know that I have fought hard fights and hard opponents and I'm ready for this.
So let's start talking about some of the preparation for this, right? You mentioned that you've never felt better in your life. Just talk about your training camp and how it's been going so far.
Yeah, so I had 6 weeks. Now we're a little bit less than 4 weeks to go. Just doing everything normal. Normally I would maybe take a trip or have somebody come out. I've got a few girls that I train with, and I've also got a coach out in Florida that I work some striking with. But just the way the schedule's lined up, it was hard to pack things in since I don't consider it short notice, but it is kind of short to plan trips and things. So we're just keeping it at home in Oklahoma City for this camp. Next time, if I have time, I'll be able to build a different camp, but I feel really good. My last several fights, I had a long layoff after just because Invicta wasn't as active. And so for now, I just fought in May, I was able to just hop right back in. So I feel like it was just a continuation. And I don't feel like I took like a long break or a long rest. So I feel really good just hopping right back into training. Had like a week and a half off after that May fight. And my weight's good, everything's good, just hopped right back on the train. And I'm really excited that I get a fight, and not have to wait so long after that fight.
All right, so I do have one training camp question for you. So I know you mentioned you normally do some trips, you have different people come in and whatnot there, but you did post a photo on your Instagram, something about getting workout in with the dogs. Were the dogs actually part of the workout? Did you go for a run with the dogs or anything like that, or were they kind of just there hanging out?
They hang out at the gym, but I do take them outside. We go on bike rides together and go to the park and whatever. So they're part of the camp, but uh, at the gym, they're definitely more watching.
I was just wondering. It's cool that you get to get a little working on with the dogs there with the bikes and whatnot. But anyway, let's get back into some seriousness with this fight. Let's talk about your opponent now, Jessica, of course. Kind of a longtime UFC fighter now. She's been in the promotion for a while. Former title challenger. She fought way back when against Ioane and Jacek. What have you seen out of her? I'm sure you probably followed her career quite a bit there. Just talk about her as an opponent, what you kind of seen out of her and what she kind of presents to you.
Yeah, I think she's a good opponent, very technical. I've seen most of her fights because she's come up through Invicta, so very familiar with her name, and I expect a technical fight. I think she does favor the judo and the grappling a little bit more, but she'll go anywhere. She doesn't really care where it is, so I'm looking forward to a fast-paced fight that I'm sure will hit all aspects of MMA.
And she's somebody too, right? She was kind of down for a little while. She had a bunch of losses. Was able to regroup recently though. Wins over Lupi Godinez, Karolina Kovacevic. Obviously, they're two good opponents there. When you see somebody that has maybe a little bit of momentum going, which you obviously have for yourself as well there, but do you have to do anything kind of different? Because they're obviously going to come in obviously extremely confident coming to the fight. Is there anything to do to kind of maybe cut some of that momentum off that she's been having recently?
I'm just sticking to my game plan, my skill set, my strategy. I'm obviously aware of her, but I don't hyper focus on my opponent. I just sharpen up what I feel like I need to sharpen up for each individual opponent. So I'm just over here working on my skills, and come fight night, I hope to show a well-rounded skill set.
So earlier on, you had mentioned about a difficult road, and I said we were going to get to that later on. And this is the point I do want to talk about. It's a difficult road, right? If anybody looks at your record, they're going to see 11 and 6, right? 11 and 6, not the sexiest, prettiest record. However, people should know at strawweight, it's 5 and 1. Big difference. How much better do you feel right now that you finally got this opportunity to compete in strawweight? Because when you were in Bellator, you were obviously competing at 125 pounds, and that wasn't your weight class. I think you're in your more natural weight class. Just how much better do you feel?
Right. Yeah. So before Bellator and after Bellator, I'm 115. So I was really young in my career. I think I was like 2-1, and I got this amazing opportunity to fight for Bellator, and I regret nothing. Obviously, it was not my weight class. That's not where I should be fighting. But I'm somebody that takes advantage of opportunity, and I just feel like it was too good to pass up. And back then, there wasn't as many options. So Bellator obviously still doesn't have a 115, though they do have some 115 fights now. But yeah, 115 is a huge division now. So I'm really glad that I was able to, get that experience there, drop back down to my real weight class, and get tons of experience with Invicta, some really good opponents, and then now, get my chance to fight in the UFC, what I feel like is the biggest women's division.
Mm. And now, obviously, right, you said it there, you're in the UFC, you're looking forward to the long term now of being in with this promotion. What's kind of the long term goal now that you've made into the UFC? Because I know there's obviously that excitement, right, of, hey, I made it, I'm in the sport's biggest promotion, but there's still a job that has to be done. I'm sure you still have long term goals you want to accomplish here.
Yeah, so it took me a long time to get here. So I'm definitely really excited just to be here and just to take it one step at a time. My whole career, I always take things one fight at a time. Um, there's just so many different possibilities, right? There's so many different opponents, so many different things that could happen. So I don't like to jump ahead. I like to see what is in front of me, what's happening, the name that's on the contract. And that's kind of what I'm going to focus on. So one fight at a time, really, really excited to be in the UFC and to be in such a big high level division. And, that's it. One thing at a time, one fight at a time.
And since we're talking UFC and we're talking strawweight division, obviously the person that really built up that division has just retired in Ioane and Jacek. Just talk about her a little bit and kind of what she's meant to not only just strawweights, but just women's MMA as a whole.
Yeah, she's a machine. She did amazing things for the division, and I was sad to see her retire. But obviously, like, she accomplished so much, and there's more to life than fighting. And she wants a family. She wants to do all these other things. So it's great for her. Good for her. She got to fight so many times, defend her belt so many times, do so many amazing things, and now it's time for her to move on. And so I'm excited to see what happens in the division. Obviously, there was a shakeup recently. So I like to watch all the, top 15 fights. I like to watch everything, but especially those because, they're so, so good. So I'm curious to see how the division gets shaken up, who gets to fight Carla, and kind of what happens from there.
Yeah, and honestly, I tell everybody this all the time. The women's 115-pound division right now, the UFC best division in women's MMA right now at this moment in time. It's a lot of big fights, like you said there. One other thing before we kind of wrap things up here, I do want for you to shout out. I know we're talking training camp and whatnot earlier. Of course, we've got to give a shout out to your gym, ATT OKC. Just talk about them a little bit and kind of what they've meant to you so far in your career.
My gym is like a small gym here in Oklahoma City, and they've been with me my entire career, entire amateur, pro, wins, losses. My team stays, and I stay here, and I just love the gym so much. It's people. There's fighters, there's regular people, but if you ask anybody, they'll help you on any given day. Extra stuff before training, after training, whatever it is. So I am so thankful for this gym and these people, and the coaches are really specific. They do their homework. They make sure you're doing everything you need to be doing. So I'm just excited to be here. Obviously, I have some friends around that, I go out and train with them, or they come here, and it's always great to have that. I like to shake it up just to keep everything, make sure I'm doing everything right. But I'm really happy here, and the gym is everything to me.
Now, are there benefits to working out at a smaller facility like that? Because we hear a lot of times about these bigger gyms. It's like, all right, we're talking American Top Team right now with OKC
Right.
there, but obviously the one in Coconut Creek, Florida is such a big
Right.
facility. You hear all the whole, so many big names and all that, I'm sure is great, plenty of benefits to that. But sometimes for some athletes, it is better to be in the smaller gym where maybe the main focus is all on you at every single moment in time, especially for a big fight that's coming up and whatnot. So is there a benefit to being at that smaller facility?
I think it depends on the person. I've been to a lot of gyms around. I've trained with a lot of people at a lot of gyms, and I like to be here in Oklahoma City. If there was ever a time that I felt like I needed to go somewhere else, I would, but I honestly don't. I feel like I have everything I need here. But some people don't feel like that, and they make the jump to a bigger gym, and they're happy there. Uh, for some time or forever. And so I just feel like it's really dependent on the fighter and how the fighter kind of works. So for me, it's perfect. I get everything I need. I'm really happy here. And if there was ever a time that I needed anything different or more, I would surely add that in.
Awesome, Emily. It's been a great conversation. Really appreciate the time here today. Last thing before we roll out now, go ahead, plug your social media. If you have any sponsors, management, anyone else you haven't given a shout out to that you want to do so, floor is yours. Take it away.
Um, Most active on Instagram, so follow me there. I'm Ducote1. My sponsors, Conscious Community Co-op, um, Oklahoma Flashlights, and um, Force 50. And I just want to say thanks to my manager, Tyson. He's dealt with me annoying him about fights and everything the last year and a half. So thank you.